Welcome to Power On with Epsilon. Today we have with us a guest who is great at navigating complexity and making things happen. With over 22 years of diverse experience across sectors, Gaurav Nanda brings the right mix of strategic thinking and on-ground execution in his role as head strategy at Epsilon Carbon. So let's dive right into this conversation to understand how he's turning the long-term vision of the organization into reality. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sahil.
So, firstly, you have led business transformation across so many diverse sectors. So, what are some of the foundational principles of creating lasting strategic impact in any business?
Yeah, that's a great question to start with. So, to create a lasting impact, I feel clarity of purpose is very important and very critical. It sits at the heart of creating that strategic impact, because unless the organization or the across hierarchy, across levels, people are aware of what's the strategy, the impact will not come.
Right.
So you have to ensure that the last man standing in the company, the shop floor guys, the front end sales executives, they know what is the purpose of the company, what's the vision of the company. So unless they know it, the lasting impact will not come. So I feel that is important. Clarity of purpose is very important to create that impact.
Very true. So, what does strategy look like when it meets on ground execution, especially in such a complex category such as yours?
Execution is very important. Strategy and execution go hand in hand, and I will top it up with speed. Because, for example, we at Epsilon, I'll talk about carbon black business. We are in a way a young player in the sector. We have all the necessary, so to say, vanilla grades currently in our portfolio. But we have a strategy in place to get into other grades which the customer needs. So it's currently a thinking, it's currently a plan, but we have to quickly execute it so that we capture the market.
Correct.
So execution is the king, and strategy alone is just a document.
Right. So, can you talk about how you have identified a market gap and aligned your business strategy to exploit it?
I would say customer centricity is at the heart of Epsilon. Whatever we do, it is keeping in mind the customer. It could be launching new products, like I mentioned a while ago, that new grades which we are trying to develop. We work closely with the customer and collectively develop those grades. It could be optimizing our operations so that they also are benefiting from the sustainable practices we are doing. Example I would give is we are working with a few of our tire customers for delivering carbon black in bulk trucks rather than, or instead of jumbo bags. Because again, why do we need a jumbo bag if we can just ship it to you in a bulk truck? It's much more sustainable. It will reduce their scope 3 emissions. So we identify the gaps, keeping the customer in mind. What's the need of the customer? What's the requirement there? And then work closely with them and go hand in hand.
Nice. So, you have also looked at various things in your role, like capacity creation, change management, cost optimization. So, can you talk a little bit about how what's discussed in the boardroom actually gets implemented on the shop floor or in terms of real on ground execution?
Like I mentioned, it all starts with clarity of purpose. That one has to be clear, and it has to go down to the shop floor. The other part which is very evident in Epsilon, which I'm very proud of, is a elaborate performance management system wherein the goals are all cascaded, are aligned.
Right.
So, for example, my skip level will have a flavor of a goal which the CEO or the MD has taken for himself. So it cascades down to the last man standing, and that's how we operate, and that's how we implement or execute the goals or the strategy which we have taken.
Right. That's great.
That goes a long way in creating that lasting impact.
Right. Yeah, I have noticed that very often people don't adhere or work towards goals because they don't even know what that goal is or what they're supposed to be doing. So I think having that skip level person also know what you are working towards, I think is very effective and throughout the organization, I think.
Yeah, otherwise we'll be moving in all different directions. So there is a North Star which we are following. There is a vision of the organization. There is a vision of the managing director that, okay, we have to reach to so and so level by say 2030.
Right.
Unless the people who are on the ground, it could be the sales team, it could be the people in the factory, are aware of it and they have something in their goal sheet which is aligned to that North Star, it doesn't make sense otherwise. So from that perspective, the whole group is aligned to one direction.
Interesting. Since you brought up 2030 and the future, so I want to ask you, what are some of the plans when it comes to both organic and inorganic growth that you're charting out for the future?
So it's something like you're trying to cook something using traditional recipe book and also using Google to check for latest updates.
Right.
So they go hand in hand. So me and my team are currently in the process of trying to assess where we will be in 2030. And there is a clear direction, there is a clear target which is given by the leadership, our founder, Mr. Nanda, that we have to reach to some level. So organically, there are a lot of expansion projects happening, but only organically we can reach up to some level.
Right.
The gap, we have to look for inorganic options. We are always actively looking out for joint ventures or partnerships for acquisitions. It could be in our core sector. It could be in the adjacencies which we want to enter into. So overall, organic and inorganic go hand in hand.
Right.
And organic is more important in terms of building your core strength. But as they say, 2 + 2 = 5 will happen when you do inorganically.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure that synergy is what will make the entire story very exciting in the future. So what are some of the emerging trends in the carbon black space that you're personally very excited about?
There are quite a few. Maybe I'll share 3 of them. First, obviously, sustainability. Epsilon has been a pioneer in implementing circularity in all its processes. If you look at our manufacturing facility, in fact, our core raw material which we get is a byproduct of steel manufacturing. So it's not getting wasted. We are producing products. So we are following that circular process. We are extending it to tire recycling now. Our major customers, who are all these global major tire companies, we are working with them and trying to develop products which use recycled carbon black. In fact, we are setting up our own facility which will be up and running in maybe about 12 to 15 months. So extending that. Circularity is one theme which is emerging. There is a big push on EV, as you know.
Right.
And in EV, there are 2 parts for us. One is the in a way recipe for the tires for EV vehicles is slightly different as compared to what we see in our internal combustion engines. So there is a play for carbon black companies. There is also a big play for the batteries for EVs.
Right.
So there is conductive carbon black and there are other specialty grades which go into it. And Epsilon, in a way, our group company is pioneer in that
Leading the
material space, leading that change. So that is the second part. The third aspect, which is not related to technical stuff, but the geopolitical scenario for last 3-4 years, the shift is happening to an extent to Asia for the supply of carbon black, and many geographies are supplying tires to the Western world. So you would have read that a couple of companies in Europe are reducing consumption for carbon black in terms of manufacturing tires, and the focus is shifting to Asia. So exciting times for Epsilon. That we are always tracking what's happening and where we can push our push our material in which geography. So these three trends I feel are important.
So how are you thinking about your strategy when it comes to entering new markets?
It all starts with first the need, the customer, where is the market going? If you have to enter into, because carbon black, if you talk, there are two parts for us in ECPL. One is the carbon black, which has a slightly longish period of qualification, and the other part is the coal tar pitch, which also has some qualification, but not that much as carbon black. So before entering any geography, first is we have to qualify our products, and then look for what are the trends emerging in terms of the growth in that country for automotive, for tire grades, for non-tire grades, and then we closely work with the customer so that we quickly go to the market and launch our products there. So that's what the main thing is for penetrating a new market.
Interesting. So now we'll get a little personal and talk about your journey at Epsilon. So can you talk about any moment in your journey where you felt that this is why I do what I do? This is what makes it exciting.
Okay, so a while ago we used to think in Epsilon that we should sell the byproducts getting generated as it is in the market, and whatever revenue we are generating out of it, we were okay with it. But now we've started to think that why can't we get into downstream products using those byproducts? That we invest some capex, there is a need in the market, there is a gap, the customers are importing material from outside, why can't we import substitute those products with our products and thereby create more value for the company?
Right.
So that is one thing which makes me feel what I do.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So what is the toughest part about balancing all the long-term strategic thinking that you do with all the short-term business priorities that I'm sure keep coming up all the time and disrupting your thinking?
It's a constant balance juggle between urgent things and important things. So every now and then or every month there is a review. To an extent, you can call it, we at the strategy team, while we are following trends outside, we are also doing some kind of postmortem for competition for ourselves, where they are, where we are, and the leadership is expecting answers, expecting insights, that what went well, what didn't went well. So that's the urgent part. People want answers here and now.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't ignore the long-term strategy.
Right.
Or a mid to long-term strategy, so to say, that what are we going to do in the next 3 to 5 year time frame. So those decisions have to be made now. So many a times I feel me and my team get bogged down into the urgent things, but the important things which are more long term, they also have to be analyzed, decided, get the necessary alignment from the leadership so that we start taking action on them now.
Very true.
Because otherwise it will be too late.
Right.
So that's the main struggle, so to say.
Right. So while you are necessarily bogged down in the urgent, you also don't lose track of the important, and that's what your reviews with leadership have helped you in.
Yeah. So I want to just maybe spend 30 seconds on that. So we have a lot of expansion which is already happening.
Right.
So those are projects under execution. Some have completed, like the carbon black business, the expansion has happened, the lines are getting stabilized, so we have almost doubled the capacity. Similar things are happening in the other vertical, which is the SC vertical, the coal tar pitch business. Now the thinking is that, okay, these are commitments made, decisions done. So 3 years down the line, which are those new projects, new product lines we want to get into?
Right.
So there is a lot of homework to be done between now and in the next 18 months, so that when we start executing them, so we need to decide now.
Right.
So that's the juggle.
So since Epsilon is such a fast moving company and you're also working across multiple verticals, I'm sure it's a high pressure situation. So how do you keep the teams aligned in such situations?
Well, if you ask me personally, I'm a people's guy. I try to make,
Right.
I try to in a way support. My job is to give clarity, because you would have seen probably in your professional life that dealing with ambiguity is is a critical competence, is a
Yes.
critical skill.
Very true.
And I feel my duty is to bring clarity to my team's life. Otherwise, I mean, I'll get a 3 word or a 1 line brief from the MD, so I have to make sense. I can't be passing on the same thing to my team. Otherwise, what will
Right.
they do? So, to keep them engaged, my duty is to first give them clarity, give them support, necessary resources, and also I feel I have to give them in a way covering fire when you are in the boardroom. They are being bombarded with a lot of tough questions.
Right.
I have to pitch in.
Right.
That's my duty, so that they feel comfortable that there is somebody who is there to, in a way, protect and support, and then move forward.
Right.
So that way, that I feel my team is very well engaged.
Right.
We have great chemistry amongst us. So that's one recipe. Supporting the team, giving them clarity, and covering up when things don't go right.
If a potential employee is listening to this, they would be so excited to hear all these things that you're saying, like managing ambiguity, being the cover for them when tough questions come from the leadership. That's exactly what people actually are looking from someone who leads them, and I think that's a very rare thing in the business world today.
I mean, I feel that that's why I am here, because otherwise, I mean, what am I doing here? Like, if I don't contribute, because many of the analysis, I mean, I have to guide them, but they are doing it. So you have to build that boundary condition. Many a time they'll go too overboard doing an analysis. You have to bring them back. So these are few things which I do.
Right. So you have spent over a couple of decades in this space, right? So you know a thing or two about strategy. So what is one myth about business strategy that you would like to bust today?
Well, one myth is people think that it's a very cool job. They decide what is to be done in the company, and then they direct people that, okay, you do this. It is nothing of that sort. We are always analyzing things. We are always tracking, matrices, or where the sector is going, and then discussing and coming up with insights which will decide what is the next dramatic step. And it's I feel it's cool to an extent that, okay, you get a lot of learning of diverse sectors, but at the same time it's not cool in that sense that you are deciding everything. It's never the case. So you are basically putting options on the table, and collectively deciding with the leadership that, okay, which is the best one.
Right. Very well put. So we'll get into the rapid fire section now. Since you already told us what strategy is not, what I would like to ask you next is, what is business strategy in one word?
To me, business strategy in one word or in 2-3 words is choices for growth. Like I mentioned, our duty is, there's no right or wrong answer, by the way, but our duty is to put the facts on the table. If we follow option A, this is what it is, because we are in the business of, in a way, carbon black and coal tar pitch, but we are in the business of making money. So we put everything as to apple comparison. Option A, this is what it is. Option B, we go, this is what it is. What is the payback? What is the IRR? And then we collectively decide, or the board collectively decides that, okay, let's go with option A. So strategy is, to me, choices for growth.
Interesting. What is one key lesson that you learned when things didn't go as per your plan?
So there are quite a few, I mean, but I'll share one, which is stay curious, because again, going back to our core, that we need to keep asking questions, not to the leadership, but to ourselves and within the team, so that how we can, do it in a better way, because many a times things don't go well. So people do get demotivated, but I feel one has to be curious all the time and keep on looking for different ways of doing things, so that the motivation is maintained, and today or tomorrow you will get to that answer.
Right.
So staying on course, being curious is one thing which I feel
Very critical. Yeah. Name a leader you learned from, and why did you pick that particular leader?
is a gentleman in my previous organization. Dr. Santrup Mishra is the leader which I follow. He's more of a mentor. I worked with him for 6 years. I've seen, I mean, he had a long tenure in the last organization, but he's led the company, his teams with empathy, with people at the core. That business is important, but people are in a way more important. So he would keep people at the core for everything, and then accordingly decide, okay, how do we take the business forward. So I actually feel that he is the person whom I idealize or seek guidance from.
Right. What's one thing that keeps you grounded?
My family, especially my wife, she's a medical doctor. So whenever I am on call and she's sitting beside me, overhearing the conversation. So after the call, she'll say, "What do you do?" It's all like you're repeating the same sentence in different English 3-4 times, and we as doctors are doing some real work.
Right.
Because there is a patient who is like suffering a heart attack or something. You have to decide there and then and act. So you feel like, okay, yes. So that keeps me grounded. That okay, you are better off. We are only creating stories.
Nice. What is one thing you would change about how businesses approach transformation today?
Businesses think culture is a side recipe, but I feel culture is the main course. So you can't ignore the culture. It has to be. You have to build the company. You have to build the culture along with it. If the culture is right, people will go that extra mile and deliver for the company.
Right.
But if you're not focusing on the culture, then people will say, I mean, I'm not concerned. So in that way, I feel the companies should focus, should make culture as the main, main recipe, main thing, main course.
As they say, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So interesting that the head of strategy is talking about culture. So that brings us to the last one. What is Epsilon in one sentence?
And Epsilon is very, very exciting company, and I feel Epsilon is a place where chemistry meets endless possibilities. There is so much we can do. It's just the beginning. We have great plans, and we have the right team in place now, who is actually ready to experiment, ready to get into new territories or unknown territories, but obviously with a word of caution. And I feel there are so many possibilities. The future is really, really bright. I feel that way.
That's great to hear. So I think that brings us to the end. So thank you so much for all your actionable insights. I think there were a lot of things for us to learn from this conversation. Definitely a lot of great takeaways. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sahil. Thanks for having me here.
And to our readers and listeners, please stay tuned for more such interesting conversations and stories from Epsilon. Thank you.